Welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel, everyone. This is Rich making another video on XRP today as usual. So wherever you are in this vast planet, I hope you're all having a nice day today. We are going to discuss XRP. This is the 1 day chart once more. Right now we're at $2.12. Although Bitcoin is currently declining, it appears that it will soon rise again. Bitcoin has risen above $97.00 yet again. Additionally, XRP is back in the green. However, we were aware that this could happen. Interest rates will remain steady according to the Federal Reserve's decision. Because of the pressure Donald Trump was putting on him, everyone was wagering that he would cut rates. However, the Fed took a different tack and declared that the moment was not right to cut interest rates. Naturally, the market responded. The good news is that there was a significant sell-off rather than currency buyers suffering significant losses. The majority of those who purchased and are still holding XRP, they continue to earn a profit. Additionally, all you need to do is not sell it. Even if you paid only $3.00 for it, you will still profit greatly from XRP. I'm trying to tell you that there is still time to invest in this coin. It is still incredibly underappreciated. And since there are still a lot of important things that need to happen, this is still a fantastic place to start. I can assure you that XRP will look very different before the end of this year. XRP will probably look very different by the end of the summer. The worst place to be right now, according to the researcher, is without XRP. The source of this is Rob Cunningham, and I concur with that. You will lose out on the finest returns of investment if you do not currently own XRP. But even a small portion of this coin should be owned by everyone. I often advise folks who are about to purchase cryptocurrency for the first time to keep onto some XRP, because based on everything Ripple has done since 2022 and how things are now coming together for XRP as well, I believe XRP will be the biggest super rise in this run. In my opinion, there is a chance that this will be a super cycle for XRP. In any case, I believe that a super cycle will occur. Bitcoin will have a fantastic run, in my opinion. The main issue with Bitcoin, in my opinion, is that whenever it begins to reach all-time highs once more, there will be a lot of selling. Let's move on to XRP. I predict that many first-time purchasers will purchase XRP. Given the institutional adoption that is taking place, I believe that a significant portion of the smart money will move from Bitcoin to XRP during this run. Adoption, according to experts, may propel XRP to its greatest breakout to yet. Are you prepared for the XRP adoption candle? Edo Farina asks. We may be witnessing the largest breakout in history. So that's also what I say loading. For that reason, I mentioned that this run would be entirely different from all of the others. Although we're currently tracking the 2017-18 run, I believe it will be even more intense this time around due to the seriousness of the institutional acceptance. It's going to be enormous. Those Bitcoin ETFs are still being promoted as the most significant development in cryptocurrency. Await the launch of the XRP ETFs. Because organizations are aware of XRP's potential, you will witness the most significant event in cryptocurrency history. We're holding the banker's coin, and they're now pushing banks to get engaged with cryptocurrency. Why would I ever want to hold a banker's coin was a common question raised by Bitcoin maxis. Banks will be replaced by Bitcoin. Well, things never work out well when you put one thing against another. They consistently claim that Bitcoin would displace all banks. To fortify the banking system, the banks will now use something akin to XRP. The good news is that widespread institutional adoption is about to happen. I must remind you once again of this. David Schwartz says, shown here, this, in my opinion, is also one of the main barriers to widespread retail adoption. Institutional adoption is a forerunner to retail adoption, which many in the industry previously believed to be the big wave. You must connect with them where they are. Where the value is, you must go. It is impossible to start from scratch and create a new financial system while disregarding the current one, which contains trillions of dollars in value and is where everyone's money is kept. You can't simply tell them to forget about it. Here, let's just construct something fresh. Therefore, I believe that the institutional adoption wave that is expected to occur over the next year or two will be the catalyst for widespread retail adoption. Then, like everyone else, we may fulfill those commitments. So consider that. We're about 3 or 4 months into this, and he stated that the institutional adoptions would take place in 12 to 24 months or 1 to 2 years. How long before mainstream retail adoption occurs or widespread acceptance, which is about 36 months off. If I had to put a timeline on it, it would show how everyone who isn't now involved in cryptocurrency is using it without even realizing it. Every time they conduct a transaction, it could be with fiat alone, a stable coin, or another method. However, the transaction takes place using on-demand liquidity and something like XRP. However, I feel it coming since we are close. As I was demonstrating how all the wells are being installed, I kept saying the infrastructure is now, I believe, nearly finished. The same thing in my of is being said by David Schwartz when he says that it might happen in a year or two, but not that it will. The process will be slow. Throughout this period of time, the price will continue to rise as more and more institutions join the movement. Only 3 cryptocurrencies, each with a distinct function, are allowed in your possession. And I thought about this. Hold your convictions for the long run. QNT is mine. I intend to keep it for a long time. I am aware that it can have 6 or 7 digits. Consider where Bitcoin went when it had no use, which is why I'm talking 7 digits. Now consider a scenario where there are less Bitcoins because there are only 14 million QNTs, and all users of the Quant network must have QNT. Therefore, I believe that QNT's supply and demand will soar, pushing it to 6 digits with ease. I'm still considering the possibility of 7 digits at some point. Your speculative play is a moonshot. I'm going to say XTC here. Even though many people expect me to say HBAR, I say that because I'm waiting for them to start discussing digital but nourished trade, which I believe will be very important. I therefore purchased a large quantity of XTC due to its low price. But I already know that they are pushing for digital trade internationally, so it's like I'm going to bring a lot of this in my suitcase. Behind the scenes, I believe we're doing the same thing in the US, and I believe that's also what the tariffs are about. Real world utility, your ecosystem play XRP, and I believe XRP will be a major surprise because most people still believe it will never move. Why are we spending so much time moving aside? When it does begin to move, I believe it will surprise everyone in cryptocurrency industry. I already know that it will eventually overtake Bitcoin as the most popular cryptocurrency. According to rumors, the SEC may conclude a Ripple case today. I can tell you right now that this has nothing to do with the Ripple for SEC lawsuit, but we do have another meeting behind closed doors. That case is resolved. Since Ripple and the SEC already reached a consensus, we are currently awaiting the judge's decision. The judge is currently in charge of it, and that cannot come soon enough. The SEC has completed its crypto enforcement. A former official says, John Reed Stark is this person. It's over, he's saying. The SEC will no longer take enforcement action. Additionally, many consumers are unhappy that these ETFs are not being approved in a timely manner. It's too soon for them to announce the Ripple VEC case. Keep in mind that Atkins just arrived. The man is really pro crypto and pro innovation. He is taking his time getting the job. He will therefore undoubtedly start working hard and accomplishing significant tasks in the upcoming weeks. However, you must wait for events such as this to occur. We're awaiting the judge as well. As I previously stated, I am aware that the ETFs may launch before the judge rendered a verdict. Before leaving X a few months ago, I believe Jeremy Hogan mentioned that. However, this is how I see things. The direction of XRP is already known, no longer a secret, You have the greatest now. The IMF is yours, the World Economic Forum is one of them, the ECB is yours, the US Treasury is yours, the Fed is with you. And they're all making references to XRP. Even when they speak, they discuss mending the plumbing and making cross-border payments. They are discussing XRP without actually mentioning it. The same is true when the Bitcoin maxes discuss XRP. They still refer to it as Ripple and detest discussing it. They can now see what's coming though. It is directly before you. Indeed, people still want to deny that it's happening, even when it's there in your face. People will first glance at the cost. However, I don't think this is the true pricing of XRP. It ought to be somewhat higher already. For this reason, I continue to predict that the real price of XRP will be far higher during this run. But until it does, have patience, maintain your optimism, and let's make money together. That being said, I will now conclude this video. Thank you for watching.